Hey everybody, it's a new episode of the Truck Show podcast, and that means another week has gone by. Over the past week, things have definitely been keeping me busy. As you can probably hear, my voice is getting stronger, and if I don't push it and I'm not yelling, then it stays pretty good all day, and I'm getting better every day, except for that shoulder. That sucker hurts. So anyone who's ever had a shoulder injury, you know how long those take to heal, and past week I had an ENT appointment for my vocal cords, and unlucky for you guys, he said I should have a full recovery of my voice within the next 9 months or so. Ooh! And Marin just had her 18th birthday, so got to wish her a very happy birthday on this podcast and thank her for her help in catching up on the website. Anyway, probably the biggest itch I still have to scratch is to get back on the trail and out of town. And while I'm still anchored close to home for a while longer, I did make some moves this week, and I did a thing that'll get me a little closer to freedom. I finally got everything together and ordered a 2025 Jeep Wrangler 392. Final edition. What can I say? I like what I like.
I like it too.
So why did I get the Wrangler? Well, I looked at several vehicles, including the Gladiator, which I love, but it's just hard to back yourself off from a 392 Wrangler once you've experienced it in the V8. It's just so special, and I do like them a lot. The Wrangler is so maneuverable on the trail, did everything I wanted it to do. I looked at Bronco Raptor, Ranger Raptor, Colorado ZR2 Bison, but maneuverability was important, reliability, so I kind of turned away from anything with turbos or hybrids. Solid aftermarket support, which they're still kind of up and coming for some of the midsize trucks. And then working with AEV again was also a major consideration, since I do think they make some of the best products on the market, and they've been a great partner over the years in other aspects of my career, and gave me some amazing support while I was recovering and laid up in the hospital and all that kind of stuff. So, and the way I look at it is the old Jeep did everything I wanted it to. So, not going to apologize for it. I like what I like. And I'm going to have a brand new red 392 in the driveway here in the next couple of months. In fact, I believe it's supposed to be built on July 24th. So, just a couple days after you hear this episode. And then it'll get a drop ship out to AEV, where they'll start the upfit. I just want to do a quick shout out to Ellis Family Stores. Amazing customer service, great prices, great to work with. I've probably sent, 20 plus people their way, and I've bought several cars from them as well, and it's always an amazing experience. So shout out to Jackson and the team over at Ellis Family Stores in Glendale. So if you're in California and you're looking for a really good Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Alfa Romeo, or Fiat dealer, that's where you go. And if you need an introduction, feel free to email me, Holman@truckshowpodcast.com, and say, hey, I'm going to go get this vehicle. Can you hook me up with Jackson? And I will send you his way. So thank you to him for getting my order in. All right, so for the build. The plan for this is, again, 392, AEV. It just worked. BFG tires, Bilstein shocks, and of course an American Adventure Lab build out on board for cargo and a bunch of other things. I am thinking about tweaking some things and doing things a little bit differently. For instance, going with ATs instead of MTs. And I don't think I'm going to do a roof rack because I want to keep the slick top. I found with the roof rack, I lost some highway range. Obviously, mileage was impacted a little bit. It's not major when you're only getting 14 on the highway, but every little bit helps. It also encouraged me to bring more stuff that I didn't necessarily need, raise the center of gravity, and then got some creaks and wind noise from it. I also need to reposition my satellite receivers, GPS, and Sirius because it's blocked by the rack, and then mount my Starlink Mini on top versus American Adventure Lab has this great second row MOLLE panel that kind of hugs the ceiling, and they've got a Starlink Mini mount that attaches to that to where your Starlink is now inside the car, secure, nobody can see it, and because of the composite top, the Mini sees the sky, and there's no problem. I'll lose some cargo capability with not having some things on the roof. So I'll have to get a little more creative with a few of the things, or we're more efficient with packing. And I won't have a place to mount an awning, which I never really use that much anyway because I'm always on the move. I'm usually camping in the evenings, although it was nice for when you're in the same place for a few days and things like that, or when it's pouring rain. So if you have any suggestions, I'm all ears. Next thing is, what should I do with my plate? Should I keep Use for Adventure and put it on the new Jeep? And should I keep the same Instagram handle, which is at ADVJeep, or should this just be a fresh start? I'm thinking about what to do there. So again, all ears, truckshowpodcast@gmail.com. Let me know what you think. So in this episode of the Truck Show Podcast, we invited on Chad Schnitz, Vice President of Top Don Tools. But first, we have to thank our amazing partners. The Truck Show Podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors. AMSOIL launched the industry's first synthetic motor oil back in 1972, and AMSOIL continues to innovate with a wide selection of synthetics that are formulated, blended, and packaged right here in the United States. These specialized lubricants are engineered for what you drive and how you drive. AMSOIL's Shop by Vehicle tool offers package size recommendations to maximize savings and includes AMSOIL's Ultimate Oil Change Kits. AMSOIL offers the protection you demand and the performance you deserve. Get yours today at AMSOIL.com. The perfect complement to your truck is a Kershaw knife. All Kershaw knives come with a limited lifetime warranty, and repair parts are readily available through the website. Kershaw knives include lifetime sharpening, and the lineup has everything from EDC knives that can be used and abused for under $50, all the way up to high-end collectibles. Thanks to our generous partnership with Kershaw Knives, Truck Show Podcast listeners can get 40% off MSRP and free shipping over $50 by using the code 2TSP2025. It can be used more than once and even includes automatics. Visit kershaw.kaiusa.com today. UAM Pistons is one of the few companies that's been in business for over 100 years. Founded in 1922, UEM continues on today, owned and run by the fourth generation of the family that founded them. We especially like the company's dual-alloy line of diesel pistons, which are cast and machined in-house to maintain the highest level of quality and consistency. Dual-alloy pistons are available for most popular diesel light and medium-duty trucks, and you can find your diesel replacement pistons today at uempistons.com. When it comes to amazing vehicle-based adventure content, how-tos, and great storytelling, only one brand is doing it right in the print magazine space, and that's OVR, Outdoor Vehicle Recreation. OVR is about getting out there in our vehicles to explore and discover the world around us. Get complimentary access for a year to the digital library or a discount on your print subscription today at OVRmag.com. Use the promotional code at Truck Show Podcast. The Truck Show Podcast survives off of sponsorships and your reviews. Please help me to keep it free by supporting our sponsors and leaving reviews and comments on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
The Truck Show. We're gonna show you what we know. We're gonna answer what the truck, 'cause truck rhymes with the Truck Show. We have the lifted, we have the lowered, and everything in between. We'll talk about trucks that run on diesel, electricity, and on gasoline. The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show. Oh, oh.
It's the Truck Show with your host, Holman.
All right, let's get on with today's episode. So I got to apologize. This is another one that's coming in delayed as it was recorded back in April before my accident. But I'm glad we're finally getting to it because on this episode, we welcome Chad Schnitz, Vice President of Top Don, to discuss a slew of topics surrounding diagnostic tools, including right to repair, aftermarket modifications in the age of electrification, consumer, prosumer, and pro tools, and a whole lot more. Chad and Top Don make for a really informative discussion about a brand that offers the tools you didn't know you needed. Let's get into it. All right, everybody. Today, joining me on our Zoom feed in the Pod Shed for the Truck Show Podcast is our new friend, Chad Schnitz from Top Don. And you probably went, well, who's Top Don? And if you are into prosumer tools, even pro tools, or do-it-yourself diagnostic tools, Top Don is one of the bigger names in the industry right now. And we'll cover a lot of stuff, including right to repair and all that. So, Chad, we appreciate you joining us today. But first, everybody gets a jingle. So here's yours.
Oh, it's time to talk tech. Oh, yes, it's time to talk tech. We want to understand more. Please help us understand more. We really want to know as much as we can about the subject matter at hand. We found a person who can help us understand the information because we don't even have a clue. Tech Talk.
So basically, we don't have a clue, so we need to have experts who come on. You've got a pretty extensive background doing all sorts of stuff, starting as a mechanic and working your way up to, is it vice president now?
Yes, that's correct. And I'm excited to be here. And yeah, hopefully I can shed some light on it. I've been on pretty much every side of the counter when it comes to automotive. It doesn't matter if it's repair or running the shop or selling the parts or selling the tools or now manufacturing the tools.
Yeah, I was reading your bio and talked about you coming up in the shop and then doing sales, and you worked for some pretty big name brands that you would go get auto parts from if you need to, and then just kind of kept moving on up. And I would think that well-rounded background kind of made you the perfect person for this job in this tool area of the industry because you've used them, you know what the mechanic needs are, the technician needs are, and you kind of know what the challenges are out there right now.
Yeah, and it also helps on the building of the tool side, right? We have phenomenal engineers that may not know how to work on cars. So I can kind of guide them in the right direction saying, yes, this is useful, or no, that's all fluff. We don't need that. Let's not focus on it. And make the tools better, but yet affordable at the same time.
So talk about who Top Don is.
So TopDon is a manufacturing company. We actually started out focused on DIY tools, battery testers, battery jump, um, basic diagnostic code readers. And we quickly grew into a professional level brand. So we manufacture the tools that the shops use to be able to figure out why the check engine light's on, do ADAS calibration, EV charging, battery testing of EV cars, and much, much more. We've gotten into thermal imaging. We've gotten into, like I said, the EV charging side, level 1, 2, and 3, jump packs, battery chargers, stable power supplies. So we're pretty wide breadth of product when it comes to the automotive field, but both the DIY, the at-home car guy, and the full-on professional.
And not only that, but you guys have recently partnered with UTI, right? And are working with them to provide tools for their training.
Yes, absolutely. That's a huge partnership for us. Being able to work with a school like that is molding the young minds and bringing more people into the industry. And when I left college after getting my degree, it was okay. Congratulations, you know how to work on cars. Now you need to go spend $20,000 on the tools that you need to be able to work on cars. And students are coming out of school in crazy amount of debt. So we want to make sure that we provide them tools that they can not only learn on, but then they can use after they're out of school and in the field.
And the nice thing about that too is they get familiar with your tools while they're working, and then that builds brand loyalty over time, right? Because they understand how to use it, and you guys supported them in the beginning, and I think that probably helps you retain a long-term customer downstream.
Oh, absolutely. Because we know that when a student gets into a shop and the shop owner goes, man, I really need a battery tester, they're going to say, well, I use this Topdon one in at school and it worked fantastic. Maybe you should look into that. And we know that there's a lot of brand loyalty there as well and comfortability, like you were saying.
And then while we're on the topic of school, you guys have a scholarship program called the Top Up program.
Yeah, so this is something that we've really pushed here in the U.S. because we know that there's a shortage going on of technicians in the industry, and we want to be able to help them. So the Top Up program is where someone can go on and they can submit their story, right? And students can submit to be able to potentially earn tools for that, like a scholarship program of tools. We also do some scholarship programs with the Auto Care Association and the Women in Auto Care program. So we're very heavily invested in the up and coming generation of technicians.
So you're talking about some of the tools that you guys make, and a couple of things that you brought up that kind of piqued my interest. Thermal imaging, that's starting to become more and more important, especially on diesels with DPFs and spotting leaks and all sorts of stuff. But then also EV diagnostics is a big area, but ADAS also. And I don't think people understand in the general public, and we've talked about it on the show before, but ADAS is going to revolutionize, and not in a necessarily a good way, how the aftermarket does things with lift kits, bumpers. We've had a windshield guy on before where he talked about how an aftermarket versus OE glass could cause your ADAS system to go out of compliance. And so he has to basically calibrate after every single one. He said there's some glass that you can get that's OE versus non. They look identical, and the aftermarket one won't work, but the OE one does. So I think there's a lot of challenges coming in the ADAS space, and I don't know if that's probably would drop down to prosumer. I don't know if that's a DIY tool at any time. I'm not sure what the price point is on that, but it is going to be something that's a lot more important to shops, because if you can't get your ADAS to work with your lift kit because the angles are off, or there isn't enough margin built in to the parameters of the ADAS system, or your sensors don't work on your new aftermarket bumper. These are all big challenges coming our way within the next really 2 maybe to 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, it's not that far off to where we're going to start having some headaches in how we modify.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And the OE manufacturers are not keeping up with that. And there is such a huge aftermarket, and SEMA is really involved in trying to keep that part of the world alive and push
Absolutely.
that. We see some manufacturers that are playing ball. For instance, Ford has an OE authorized lift kit you can put on, and it will do the adjustments to all the sensors and cameras to be able to run that lift kit with with an ADAS calibration. However, we have some manufacturers that say, no, if you don't put an OE stock tire size on there, I can't help you. So there is a pretty big gap in that realm, and it's a lot of customers think there's a lot of voodoo going on the backside. They don't understand how it works. There's a lot of technicians that don't understand how it works. So trying to keep everybody up to speed and educate them on this is why we do it, this is when we do it, and this is how we do it. That's a huge challenge that we're trying to help overcome. And when you talk about the pricing side of ADAS, it's not a cheap process to get into. Just to get into the targeting system, a shop can be investing around $10,000 just to be able to do basic ADAS calibration.
And that's a static system, right? Because you also have dynamic systems as well, right? And you've got the target system where you're on flat level ground, and then you set up the targets and you set it. But there's also the kind that you drive around as well, which are more expensive than that. So it really depends on the technician, the shop's capability level, but also the OE. And I know there's some OEs, you mentioned how Ford is a little bit more friendly. I'd say Stellantis with the Jeep brand is more friendly, although they're not as friendly with Ram for some reason. There's definitely some things that are locked out, like a lift kit tire size upgrade on a TRX, for example. And then you have General Motors, who's kind of schizophrenic, where they're like, no, we're not doing any of this, but we will offer you this Bison Edition Colorado with 35s. But if you got a Colorado Trail Boss, correct me if I'm wrong, you can't calibrate the speedometer on that. And on a Wrangler 4xe, they only added the ability to change gear ratio and tire size beyond what was factory 2 years ago, where the ICE one, or maybe a year ago, where the ICE ones, you could do it. So people were going out of ICE into the hybrid, and all of a sudden the tools that they used to make sure all their gauges were accurate didn't work on the 4xe. So even within owned companies, there's different philosophies within even brands or model lineups that there is no standardization. And I think, going forward, in my opinion, if you've been a longtime Chevy guy and Chevy locks you out of everything and Ford says, oh, come on over here, that might be the change if you need a truck that has 37s on it or something like that. You may be swayed, if you're a fence sitter, between one brand or the other, which one has the aftermarket support to get the capability that you desire out of it. And it's just kind of crazy right now that those are the types of things that are going to be driving automotive sales in the future.
Well, and I think that most people will talk to a mechanic or talk to a technician before they buy a car, right? Hey, I'm thinking about buying a Hyundai Kia. What do you think about that? Oh man, if you would have done it 10 years ago, I would have said yes. But now we can't get parts, we can't get information, we can't program them, I can't get tools. I wouldn't buy it, right? So in the technician field, we're looking at, okay, how easy is it to fix the car, to maintain the car, but also, yeah, on the modification side. And the harder a manufacturer makes it, the less I'm going to recommend you buy their car.
Yeah, and that goes into a subject that's kind of near and dear to my heart. You talked about SEMA, and you talked about not being able to get tools or get into the cars. And so we've seen this a little bit with Ford, where, and even GM, when they went to Global B, they started locking out. We kind of put it in terms of a house. And they don't want you in the house, but maybe there's a guest room there that they'll give you the code for, and you can get in that guest room and you can do a couple of things to maybe put a supercharger on it. In the case of Whipple, Dustin over there getting in as an OE partner with Ford, and you can get in there and do that, but you can't do anything else, and then you're kicked out of the house. And then on top of that, you've got right to repair, which is just really starting to rear its head here in automotive. Although in agriculture, it's been a big deal for a number of years. I think the poster child for that is John Deere and the Software Millennium Act, where the manufacturer's saying you may own the car, but you don't own the software that runs it. That's ours. We're not going to let you into it. You have to have a certified technician come out. Oh, by the way, that certified technician can't use top Don tools. That certified technician can only use our tools. And now maybe it's a 6-month wait, and now your combine doesn't work anymore for a $5 sensor that needs to be reprogrammed or replaced. And the guy who can repair it, he's 5 months, 6 months out on an appointment, and now you've missed harvesting season. And those are some of the real challenges happening there. But we're getting into it in the consumer automotive side, where I feel like a lot of independent shops are on the verge of getting squeezed out. And to your point, this is another area that SEMA has really been pushing, is the right to repair. And maybe talk us through the challenges you see at your company, and also how hard is it to get access to those tools or to build tools without an OE manufacturer supporting you with insight into how the software works?
So the SAE really kind of set the level with J2534 programming. They said, hey, every manufacturer needs to use this same process, and we're going to call it J2534, and then it became -2. And that was great because we knew the rules. Here's how it works. Here, if you make a box that does this, we will comply. And that was great. And then all of a sudden, the OE manufacturer started going, well, that has to do with security, and you can't have access to that. And well, people are stealing cars, so you can't have access to this. A great example of that is Mercedes. So the original Right to Repair Act said that it has to be affordable and obtainable. And apparently to Mercedes, affordable means $35,000 for the OE tool to be able to do basic SCN coding and programming. And oh, by the way, you don't own that tool. You're only leasing it for 4 years for that $35,000. And if you sneeze wrong, we can take it away at any point. So they really set the bar for being the biggest bully in the block. And then we have the total opposite on some manufacturers are like, look, we want you to have everything. We had Toyota come up to us at our booth at the Apex show and said, how can we help you fix our customers' cars that are in the field? So you really have both sides of that. So take a step back. Right to repair, what is it? Basically, it is giving the information that the technician needs and making it accessible for someone to be able to fix the car. I live out in the middle of nowhere. My closest BMW dealer is 2.5 hours away. I can't get to a BMW, but I have a shop down the road that's what he specializes in. So he needs to have that same OE level access to be able to fix that car, or to be able to get it back up on the road, or to meet emissions. So that's what Right to Repair is all about. Giving us as technicians the ability to fix that car for our customers and keep that car on the road, keep it meeting emissions and running as best as possible.
What is it like when you are building a new tool? So obviously there's probably a need that arises. You guys have over 150 different products right now, so you have a large breadth. Are you going back and refining older tools with new technology? Are you coming up with new tools? And what's the process for that? How many hand raisers do you have to invest R&D money into making this particular tool? Because I'm guessing you guys probably have a product roadmap where there's a lot of different cooks in the kitchen requesting different things, and you guys have to decide from a company standpoint what makes the most sense.
Yeah, so refining old tools is difficult because of hardware demand. So an example of that would be DOIP. We have a lot more vehicles coming out with diagnostics over internet protocol. So if that's not hardware that's already in a tool, we can't really add it. So when it comes to the new tools in the industry, there are some companies out there that just release a new tool to have a new tool, right? Ooh, I can talk about my new tool. As long as our hardware is still meeting the requirements of today's vehicles and tomorrow's vehicles, we're going to keep updating that tool. Number one, it's a better value for our customer because it's a lot cheaper to update a tool than it is to just keep buying new ones all the time. But also, it's better on the engineering side. We can spend more time focused on getting that function and process done instead of trying to figure out, does my old software work on a new platform, and going through that. And oh yeah, there's a lot of people that think that they know exactly what needs to be in our next tool, and it's that one Porsche that nobody can fix. and it's from 1998, and we need to spend all our engineering time fixing that one car and that one function, right? So we have to assess what's the need in the market, what's the best return for our technicians to be able to get access to that, and how can we get as close to OE level as possible without going over that line or injuring or doing bad things with our agreements with the OE manufacturers.
Sure. And I would imagine that every agreement's a little bit different, kind of like having different sponsors on the podcast. There's different deliverables and different gateways or hurdles that you either have to jump through or make and keep that contract valid. So I'm sure that balancing all those different interests is probably, not for the faint of heart. I can only imagine on this side of the fence how much I deal with corporate legal. In my old job at Motor Trend, how much we dealt with corporate legal. I can't imagine when you're actually partnering with them on some sort of software integration for their product. I mean, that's like top floor stuff right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And luckily, we have great partners in that. We work with a company called ETI, which is our in between for us as a manufacturer and the OE, and they really do the brunt of the legal part because that's not me. I'm a shake hands and let's move on kind of guy.
Yeah.
And then we have NASTIF as well, that's a partner in that, trying to work with the OEs on our behalf, Auto Care Alliance, Right to Repair. So there's some good partners that want to help us as an aftermarket, help you as a technician to be able to get all that done.
How has technology changed tools and diagnostics in the past 10 years? Obviously, the advent of a cell phone and apps and things like that. Is that infiltrating at all in the prosumer or pro level? Is that something that you are only really seeing on the consumer side? And what are processing power has gotten awfully cheap compared to what it was. Cars are more sophisticated. I would imagine some of your tools might have more processing power than some of the cars that are out there. What does that look like? How has the landscape changed with automotive tools? Because I remember you would get, a Harbor Freight diagnostic tool or something, or whatever, and you'd plug it into your OBD2 port, and it ran off 2 AA batteries, and it may have had like a rubber encasement around it, so if you dropped it, and it would take forever, and you go to clear your codes, and you watch the little bars dance across the screen. It was always seemed like interfacing with cars was a very frustrating experience. However, UX, because of advancements in chips and phones, and even just manufacturers putting UX into cars because they're so integral to the operation of cars, I would have to imagine there's some trickle down into expectations for tools.
Yeah, absolutely. And we utilize both sides of that. So on the professional side, the cost of technology has come down so much that we can produce large platform screens and lots of memory to be able to have Asian domestic and European cars all into that one tool. But also we can go, wait a second, your phone is a very powerful tool and it's got a phenomenal screen on it. Why don't we utilize that? And now we can have just the hardware, which is like our top scan, that can plug into the OBD2 port. And now I can read and clear codes in all modules, live data, graphing, and service functions for less than $60.
Wow.
I mean, that's pretty impressive for someone that is a weekend warrior, or hey, I just want to put it in my kid's glove box in case they have an issue. They can plug in and we can see what's going on.
Yeah, I've got a 17-year-old, just got her driver's license yesterday, and going to be going to college soon. And I could see how, being a dad, it would be great to have one of those in the glove box. And if there's an issue and I'm not nearby, she could plug it in, put it on her phone, and tell me what it is, and I can tell her, hey, here's what you need to do about that. And I mean, I honestly hadn't even thought of that kind of angle to it. That makes a lot of sense.
My sister lives in Virginia, so she's, I don't know, 12 hours away from me. And every once in a while, she'll send me a text message that says, hey, I just sent you a diagnostic report. Let me know if I need to do anything. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool.
So I can kind of guide her and direct her and what to say when she goes into a technician to have a better understanding of what's going on. And there's a lot of value in that. And we're not saying that this tool is going to replace a professional level technician. No. But being a consumer and an informed consumer when you go in to get your car fixed is always a great thing.
I think having the education or the insight about what your car is telling you and being able to communicate that effectively to your service advisor or your mechanic, I think that's better for everybody. There's a level of transparency there, there's a level of understanding, and I think it helps to build trust between you and the shop that's working on your car. And, I think by far the vast majority of automotive technicians are honest people, but as with anything, you run across the occasional person that you probably wish you never found. And so having tools like this at your disposal I would imagine are pretty good. One of the things I was curious about is I know we talked about the technician tools and the big tablets and all the things that you have. Let's talk about the consumer and prosumer side. What are some of the more popular tools that you guys sell? And what is maybe your toolbox of top-down tools for your average do-it-yourselfer like to do their own oil changes and things like that at home?
Yeah, so I'll go back to that top scan that we were talking about. That's a phenomenal tool to have for being able to do your own brakes, being able to change your own oil, or just to see what codes are going on in your car. And actually, one of the newer tools that we've added is a jump box with an air compressor in it. And you don't realize how often you have flat tires until you don't have to take your air compressor out of the garage. You can just, take it with you and air up your tires or jump your car. I have an '07 4Runner that I don't drive nearly enough, and it always has a flat tire and it's always dead. So I can jump it, air up the tire, and take it away.
I kind of feel like that's the kind of when cameras and phones joined. These are two dissimilar things. That's kind of a weird pairing, and yet we wouldn't do anything without our camera and our phone together. Think about it. JumpBox already has the battery power. A compressor is a high draw piece of equipment. Those two together make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that it's pretty cost effective, even if it's just for safety and security. Put it in the trunk of your car just in case. It's a pretty phenomenal piece to have. And then the third one that I would add would be our thermal cameras. We have thermal cameras that plug into your phone that turns that magic box into a thermal camera. And the sheer number of things that you can use that for. You can use it on diagnosing the car. Sure. My wife borrows it to cook cookies because it has to be the right temperature when she's making the icing. To be able to find leaks in your house or to find critters that are running around or damp drywall because you have a water drip coming through. A thermal camera on your phone, it's kind of silly for DIY until you realize it's only $250 and I can use that all the time or all over the place. So that's a pretty good add-on to the toolbox as well.
I would think that'd be great for. I love barbecuing and smoking meat and stuff, so that might be a good one for checking my temperature in the smoker. Because they give you those little mechanical dials, and the spring wears out after about 5 minutes. 2 uses, and it's all out of whack. And I've got so many wires and cables going into that thing while I'm smoking. It would be nice to just have something to hold there and not have to have constant connectivity for my brisket.
You can see how consistent the heat is across the grill, right? So. Yeah. Oh, why is it so much hotter over here? No wonder it's getting, I'm having issues. So that adds a lot to it as well.
So what do you see the future of tools? Where's that going? And do you think things are going to become more complicated and expensive or more ultimately more affordable?
Ooh, see that I see it going both ways. I think as long as we keep going down the path of OBD2 and allowing us to have a consistent connection that the cost of that side of the world of diagnostics, I think that'll continue to maintain or go down. But I think that as our cars become more complex and as we add self-driving or assisted driving, now that side of the equation becomes very expensive because the tooling to be able to do that is very expensive, or the tooling to be able to test your EV battery or to discharge and recharge and equalize your EV battery. Those become very expensive. So I think that there's two sides of that equation based on the vehicle that you want to drive. How fancy do you want to be? Because that's going to determine how expensive those tools are.
How long has TopDon been in the U.S.? And obviously you guys have a robust catalog of parts and you're available nationwide. You can get it Advanced Auto, Napa, CarQuest, AutoZone up in Canada, Canada Auto Solutions, Mundo Tool. And it looks like you can buy direct from the website as well as Amazon. And it's hard, especially if you're an Amazon shopper, it's hard to go in there and you're like, I'm going to go for this tool or I'm going to search this brand name. And then 50 other brand names come up that could be of dubious quality. How do you make TopDon a household name for people that are searching for tools, and why TopDon? There's a lot of stuff out there, and I don't even know how you would weed through that other than having really good point-by-point and compare and contrast things on Amazon. But average buyer, how do they find you?
Yeah, so we started in 2021 in the US. We're based out of Rockaway, New Jersey. That's where our warehouse is. That's where our marketing team is. That's where the tech support team is. And the tech support team is a huge asset when it comes to the Top Don brand and product line. Because if there's an issue, you have somebody to call. You're not just sending a random email into the ether or trying to find a Facebook page that may or may not exist. You got people on the other end of the phone. They're there to help you and try and guide you in that process. As far as getting the name out, social media has been phenomenal for us. Being in all the social media platforms, posting, training content. We just before our call here, my national trainer was doing an hour-long scope presentation on how to use a scope on Facebook. He went Facebook Live, answering questions as we go, being available and being in the market. We go to a tremendous amount of events. We're at car shows. We're at um, Cletus and Cars. We're at all kinds of events, going out and just being in the public and letting them know, hey, we're real people and we're real car guys at the same time. We want to make tools that help you, but also we want to make tools that help the technician as well.
And for you, you're an ASC Master Certified Tech as well. I mean, you literally have been in the trenches. You can speak the product and speak technician talk. You have the credentials. I'm sure that probably helps out as well.
And I surround myself with a lot of smart people. There are some phenomenal automotive technicians in the field that I go, hey, I just don't get this. What am I missing? And there are a lot of people that I rely on to make sure that I understand, because there's no way you can know everything.
Yeah.
I have people that are the best at ADAS, the best at electrical diagnostics, and I rely on those guys a lot. But yeah, having that base really helps to know and to guide and to push this company in the right direction of, hey, we're here for the technician. We want to be your go-to solution.
Well, you talked about the social. You guys are on Facebook, Top Don USA, Instagram, Top Don USA. Also have your YouTube channel, and on TikTok, Top Don USA Official. And so scrolling through, there's a lot of really great content, whether it's kind of showcasing a product or something educational that's on there. It's a really great account to follow, especially on Instagram, really snackable if you kind of want to see what the different technologies are, or even as a technician with new cars, like what are you guys up against and how does this tool help you to interface with the latest and greatest? It's actually really insightful and kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I was really pushing when we come to social media, is not only do I want to educate, but I also want to have a lot of fun at this. I mean, we're an automotive. We crack up. We have a good time. So we really wanted to push that on our social media as well. So if you're looking for a good laugh every once in a while, but you still want to learn something, our social media is a great place to do that.
Awesome. And you guys are offering a discount code to the Truck Show podcast listeners. Very generous. So the code is TRUCK10. It'll be valid for about a month after this episode airs. Excludes sale items and items under $20. But it'll give you 10% off. If you guys are out there, you're a do-it-yourselfer, or you own a shop and you want access to some really good tools, use that code. Get yourself some Top Don tools because these things are really cool. And if you're kind of a casual observer of the industry, go follow them on social because I'm telling you, there's a lot of education and information that comes from watching what you guys are doing across your social platforms. It's actually really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And we didn't really talk about YouTube, but we post a tremendous amount of content on there. I have a national trainer that is what he does. He goes out and fixes cars and shows you how to fix the car and why we did what we did. So even if you're just trying to understand what in the world is my technician talking about, jump on there and you can learn a lot just from watching our guys fix cars.
That's some really great long form content. If you guys have the time to sit there and watch a video, man, you can learn a lot. And I feel like you guys are actual car guys too. I know you are, but it's different when a car guy is talking to other car guys rather than an engineer trying to explain how some software and some hardware work together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I work with a lot of engineers, and I don't necessarily speak their language, so I draw a lot of pictures to be able to get my point across. But it is a huge asset I'm surrounded by car guys. So we know what we're trying to get done, and then we can explain that to them, and they produce.
Well, it's been awesome having you on the Truck Show podcast. Really appreciate your time today and kind of giving us some insight into the world of tools. This is something that you don't think of until you need one. And I remember a neighbor was working on something and he's like, oh, I'm stuck. I don't have, it's like, oh, hey, you need to buy the tool for that. Oh, there's a tool for that, right? I mean, I think the home mechanic, maybe if you're at a certain age range in cars, and then now you've stepped up to something newer, it's really a whole new world in a lot of ways.
It really is. Actually, I just had a neighbor call me up and said, "Hey, I put a steering rack in this car and it doesn't do anything." I'm like, "Did you program it?" Do I got to do what? I got to program a steering rack? Yeah, man. You got to program the steering rack, do the steering angle sensor. I was like, "I'll bring the tool over to you." So it
I would
really
think
is
having you
amazing.
as a neighbor is probably pretty great for the shade tree mechanic.
You'd be amazed how many people stop by to borrow tools.
You're gonna have to install one of those tool cages in your garage with like a sign out sheet.
I have to take pictures of people with the tool so I know where it went.
Well, we're going to try not to borrow any tools from you. We'll send some people to buy them. But again, Chad, really appreciate your time today, and thanks for sharing Top Don with us.
Absolutely. Pleasure being here.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Top Don Tools. And what do you say? Let's head on over to the inbox.
You email? Yeah. I email? Do it. We email? That's right. Everybody email. Type it up. You email? Proofread. I email? Send it. We email? Click it. Everybody email.
It's not the same without lightning, I know. All right, this one came from Joey Barker, and Joey says he's a longtime listener, 5-star, all that jazzy stuff, dropping you a note of continued healing for your entire family. Thanks so much, Joey. I really appreciate it, and everybody's doing well. Like I said, Marin just had her 18th birthday, and her last visit to check up on her foot, she does that weekly, went really well, and I think she's pretty close to being able to start walking without the boot, so... just so blessed, so lucky to have all you guys and all your support. Keep it coming. We really appreciate it. Here's another one from our buddy Ray. Hello, Sean. Just listened to Season 3, Episode 34 Truck News. Your voice is sounding great. You must have gotten a superb doctor to make such a dramatic change back to normal. Congratulations to you and the doc, Ray. You know what's funny is I went to the doc, but it was after it started improving. So apparently had a nerve that was nicked when they did my neck surgery, and it's just taken this long to grow back and regenerate. So every day gets a little bit better as it heals. When I went to the doctor, I had about a 90% paralysis of the right vocal cord, but that's improving every day. And if I stay in my normal vocal range, like I'm talking on the podcast, things like that, I'm not raising my voice in a crowd or shouting while coaching, it stays pretty good. So fingers crossed that the worst of it is behind me. All right, and I wanted to bring up this awesome card really, from Chris and Emily Baker. They love 3D printing. They actually did the Truck Show Podcast Podshed 3D printed logo that sits behind me on the desk. And so I get this card in the mail. Of course, it says what kind of doctor is Dr. Pepper, one of my favorite jokes. If you haven't heard that one, and it's a Dr. Pepper dad joke. He's a physician, of course. Physician, get it? Anyway, it says, hey, Holman, we're so glad you and Marin are doing well, and it's been such a blessing to read and see the updates on your journey to recovery. Love the Q&A interview with you all, too. As you know, we enjoy 3D printing, so hopefully the Podshed can use one more can of Dr. Pepper. Take care, Chris and Emily Baker. And they 3D printed a 1-to-1 scale Dr. Pepper can, which is right here. And it is incredibly accurate. The only thing that's really different about it that's even more cool is that all the logos are raised, including the nutritional facts and all that stuff. So thanks, guys. It is going right here on the shelf in the Podshed, and it'll forever be a part of Podshed lore. So if you want to be part of the show, the best way to do that is to send us an email, truckshowpodcast@gmail.com. No matter what it is, whether you have a question, a comment, a concern, a topic, we welcome it all. truckshowpodcast@gmail.com. So it looks like the blinking light on the 5-star hotline says we have a couple of voicemails. So why don't we head over there and check it out?
Oh, come on and be part of the show. Call the 5-star hotline. 657-205-6105. It's the 5-star hotline. 5-star hotline.
Holman, Colby here again. Sorry, I may be like the only person that has this number memorized off the top of my head.
And we love it. Don't stop calling.
Anyway, you were saying in one of the previous episodes that, like, your voice is only not good when you're talking normal. So I just was thinking, maybe you should try to see if you could bring, a guest on, like, Billy Bargain to help out for a little bit.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I don't think so. I think I would probably do permanent damage if I attempted to bring a guest like Billy Bargain on. And for those of you who are new listeners, that's a throwback to the early days of the Truck Show podcast.
Just kidding. Maybe you could try some AI. There should be enough of your voice on the internet at this point that AI could just do the whole show for you. Or you could just AI in a lightning, or you call them thunder or something like that. Anyway, keep up the good work, man. Loving the episodes. 5 stars.
5-star review! 5 stars! You know what's funny is I think I missed an opportunity. When I couldn't speak, maybe I should have done a show like all AI robot voice or something like that. And I do love having Thunder on the show. I wonder what that would take.
Hey, it's Chris from Arkansas with the Hummer. So glad to hear your voice coming back there, Mr. Holman. Just wanted to say I really love the Hummer talk at the beginning of that with Miss Hall. Great podcast. I know I'm a little biased, but man, if they could give out any information on the suspension that was on the H3, the early one that was in the stockish class, I would love to hear it. Really anything with the Hummer racing stories. But so glad to hear your voice coming back. Love the podcast. 5 stars as always. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Congratulations, you have earned 5 stars.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you checking in. If I remember correctly, and I'd have to look through my photos and maybe some of the articles I wrote in the past, I think because it was a stock class, everything was stock on those early trucks except for the shocks. They were allowed to run a high-performance shock, and I don't even know if the torsion bars were twisted at all to get a little bit more lift out of the front for the bigger tires. So I got to do a little research on that. If I can find that out, I'll bring it to you in a future episode. But definitely appreciate you checking in, and good to hear from you guys. Before we go, I think we need to check in with the Podshed Insiders.
Join the Podshed Insiders. Why not? We're having fun with all that's being said, hooting and hollering in the online shed. We're having fun, talking trucks, and other totally rad and random stuff. No matter where you are, hang out in Holman's backyard. Join the Podshed Insiders. Why not?
We have a poll in here from longtime listener Thomas Atwood. He says, what do we think Holman's new whip is? And I got to crack up because you guys know me and you know me. So at 0%, 85 400 LS swap. That'd be rad though, right? At 0%, the Rivian R1T. If I was going to get an electric truck, the Rivian R1T and the Ford Lightning are kind of the best ones out there right now, in my opinion. The Rivian, a little bit smaller, more adventure focused. I can't rely on electricity only for what I do.
Lightning!
All right, let's see. What's the next one? Ooh, Toyota Tacoma, 1%.
Try again.
Oh, let's see what else. A Gladiator with a 392 swap. Now we're talking, but that definitely would 100% be out of my price range. But I know Jared and the fellas over at America's Most Wanted 4x4 would love to build me one of those. All right, let's see. What else do we have in here? Ranger Raptor, 9%. Colorado ZR2, 12%. Those were actually pretty high consideration. I definitely considered both of those heavily. Honda Ridgeline at 16%. Absolutely.
That ain't true! That's not true! So get your facts straight.
Although I'm sure if I rolled up with a Honda Ridgeline, my wife would be on the driveway with one of these. And I have to hand it to my wife because after the accident, we were talking about what to do with my vehicle, and she's the one that encouraged me to go with the 392, which, by the way, 61% of you guys said that's what I was going to get. So I guess you guys know me after all, which is pretty cool. She said, listen, it kept you alive. It did all the things you want. It was badass. Get another one. Get it in red. And I'm like, yes, ma'am. So I didn't even have to argue for it. She was all about it. So that's a fun little exercise in the Podshed Insiders. I've been posting in there whenever I put up an episode, so you guys know ahead of time. Dave Graham was traveling across the country, although he did not go buy a big thermometer, but he did have a giant sombrero, which he posted a photo of, which is hilarious. And then Ron Williams went by the thermometer a couple times, and he posted. And we've got some new members this week. So anyway, if you're on Facebook and you want to interact and meet some of the listeners of the Truck Show podcast and people who love the same stuff that you do, please go on Podshed Insiders. We have just under 500 members in there now, and appreciate all the fun we have in there. And if you want to keep the fun going outside the podcast, you can follow us on social at Truck Show Podcast, at Sean P. Holman. Leave a message on the 5-star hotline, 657-205-6105.
The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show. Oh,
Or give me your feedback, truckshowpodcast at gmail.com. And I don't care what it is. If you got a question, you got a topic you want to discuss, let me know. I love all the emails about me getting better, but I'm getting better. So let's get back to trucks. If there's something that you want to discuss that we haven't covered yet, send me a message. And if I can research it and find the answer, if I've got some opinions on it, we'll bring it to the show. But love getting emails from you guys. Of course, join the Facebook group, Podshed Insiders. You just heard of the fun we're having in there. Send in your events. Marin's been working on the website, getting that up to speed, and just catching up right now. Again, we got to thank our sponsors. I've got some amazing people that are backing the show. The first of which is AMSOIL.com. AMSOIL is incredible. If you love your vehicles like we do, best synthetics, oil change kits, car care products, and you can buy it online. Go to AMSOIL.com. And AMSOIL is awesome because they make a great product, but I found out through my situation that they're exactly the people that you hope they would be. And it's just amazing when you partner with companies and they turn out in a time of need to be incredibly gracious, great people to work with beyond the business side of it. Also, truck guys need knives. I carry a pocket knife every day. If you are looking for a pocket knife, Kershaw Knives has a great lineup. Get yours today at kershaw.kaiusa.com. If you use the code 2TSP2025, you'll get yourself a nice discount. And UEMpistons.com, we appreciate their dual-oil diesel pistons, but they've got so much more for your engine build. Check them out, UEMpistons.com. And last but not least, OVR Magazine. If you go to the Truck Show Podcast website, truckshowpodcast.com, go to featured products, and you can see all the discount codes and things in there. Anyway, that's it for now, so thanks for listening to this episode, and let's do it again soon.
The Truck Show Podcast is a production of Truck Famous LLC. This podcast was created by Sean Holman and Jay Tillis, hosted by Sean Holman, and uses production elements by DJ Omar Khan and Jay Tillis. If you like what you've heard, please open your Apple Podcast or Spotify app and leave us a 5-star review. And if you're a fan, there's no better way to support the show than by sharing it and patronizing our sponsors. Some vehicles may have been harmed during the making of this podcast.
Amazing. Are you like a podcaster?